Hi, and welcome to the first episode of In and Around Abington. My name is Alex Bazanton, and I'm your host. I came up with this program idea so that we can highlight events, people, nonprofits, and anything that might be of interest to the residents in and around Abington. Over the next few months, we have some great guests coming up. We have elected officials who will explain what they do in and around Abington. We will have sports figures, business owners, and people who run nonprofits who are out helping people in the community on a daily basis. If you have an idea for a show or would like to be a guest on this show, please contact me via email at alexbazanson@yahoo.com. When I first brought this idea up to my wife Lisa, we talked about who we wanted on our first show, and we both agreed that it has to be Matt McDonough. For those who you don't know, Matt was instrumental in helping Lisa and I form the Abington Substance Awareness Coalition. And Matt lives in Marshfield. He was a former school committee member, former selectman, and now Register of Probate for Plymouth County. Welcome, Matt.
Alex, pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for letting me be your first guest.
Well, we wouldn't have had it any other way.
All right.
So why don't you just give me a little background on you, your family, and what you do?
Sure. Born and raised in Plymouth County. I grew up in the towns of Scituate and Kingston. Went to Silver Lake for high school, and from there I went to Worcester for college at Holy Cross. And after that, I went to Boston College for law school, where I was very fortunate to meet my amazing wife, Suzanne, who you know very well.
Yeah.
And from there, we both pursued a career of public service for over a decade each. She worked in the Plymouth County DA's office as an assistant district attorney, and I worked in the Norfolk County DA's office. Following our time in the DA's office, we've both had private practices on our own, and my wife followed her true passion, not part-time, but she was an accomplished Irish dancer, one of the best in the world.
And I've seen that.
She's amazing, and she's teaching my two daughters, and hopefully my son, if he comes around, how to be great Irish dancers as well.
She does have some boys in the troupe, though.
She does, yeah. She gets some great young men in the organization who do great dancing. Yeah. So she's been doing that for 10 years as well. My passion for public service stemmed from my family. My grandfather and my father were both union leaders in the Teamsters Union for my grandpa, and my dad in the local fire department in Scituate. So I became involved in local politics through those avenues. I ran for school committee in the town of Marshfield, and I also served on the Board of Selectmen in the town of Marshfield for 2 terms. At the middle of my second term, I became aware that a dear friend of ours, Bob McCarthy, would not be running for re-election for Register of Probate. And considering my background as an attorney, as an advocate for people, and somebody who knew a lot about public service, I thought that this would be a great opportunity to run for office and serve in the court system and be able to help people with my legal expertise.
Great, thank you. So, how old were you when you first ran for school committee?
I was 29.
29.
Yes. Yeah.
What do you think's the key to get more people involved in politics and volunteering? We see in Abington, we're always trying to find people to fill the boards. All year long we have vacancies.
Yeah.
And all year long the selectmen advertise it. They put it on the Facebook page, they put it on the website, and it just seems that it's tough to get people to volunteer. So being 29 years old, I'd like to see more of that.
I know.
You know, in our town, but it's just hard. So what do you think's the key to get people involved?
For me, 2 of the great organizations I was involved with at the Marshfield High School, just on the periphery, knowing about the youth government program, but being very hands-on with the mock trial program, I got to see as a volunteer attorney coach some of the brightest young people we had in town. And they were all very interested in politics and government and where our money goes, how we take care of ourselves, down to road and infrastructure questions, to criminal justice issues, to issues of how we fund our schools. I was so impressed with our young people and the issues that they would discuss on their own. That's where we have to get them. We have to get them when they're young. They're passionate, they're idealistic, and get them involved and see where their interests carry them.
Yeah, well, as you know, I ran for state rep last year, and big supporter, thank you. And we did see a lot of younger people getting involved. My primary opponent, Kevin Higgins, 25 years old, which is great. There's some other young people in Whitman that pulled papers for selectmen in Whitman. So I think, you know, I think us as older people, we need to start you know, bringing those people along.
Yes.
Because things are definitely changing politically, and you can see that throughout the whole country.
Yes.
With the new members of Congress. We have a member of Congress that's 29 years old, I believe now. So, you know, that's something I want to focus on after losing the election. I've been around to several of the towns, and that's going to be my focus, to start bringing new people in and getting volunteers on the boards. I think it's important to get people on the assessors, on the school committee, on zoning board, and get an interest in it. You live in the town, you should take a part in it, you know, and have a say in what's going on.
You know, and one of the issues that got us going in Marshfield recently, and got a lot of young people involved, was full-day kindergarten. Something that they really didn't fully understand, not having kids of their own, but they became passionate because they cared about education, and they saw how important it was that we properly fund early education in our town. So that was
Abington did that last year, and it cost us about $450,000, and we took that, rather than put it in the rainy day fund, we took that last year to fund the first year. I know Whitman's discussing it now, but Whitman has some issues, financial issues, so they may not be able to this year. But I'm a big advocate of full-day kindergarten.
Yeah, we started our first year of full-day paid kindergarten will be this fall.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
Ours will start next year, I believe.
Yeah. And obviously don't underestimate town meeting. If you ever see a young person show up to town meeting, get their phone number, get their name, and follow up with them and get them on a board.
Well, and we have big youth programs in Abington, you know, soccer, Little League, baseball. So we have a lot of parents involved with that.
Yes.
And I think that's where we need to get them involved in other boards in the town. So, what is the Plymouth County Registry of Probate, and how does it affect my life?
Sure, absolutely. That's a great question. So we're one of the divisions of the Massachusetts Trial Courts, the Probate and Family Court. Within the Probate and Family Court statewide, we have 14 divisions. We used to strictly be divided and identified by counties, but we've consolidated the way we manage the courts, and we're divided up in divisions. Our division is still referred to as the Plymouth Division, even though we call it Plymouth County. It's all 26 towns of Plymouth County and the city of Brockton. So all cases that have to do with probate or family matters, and those subject matters are very diverse within the Probate and Family Court, but they include probating estates when somebody passes away, either with or without a will, as voluntaries, informals, or formals are three generic areas.
So let me interrupt you there. If someone does not have a will, is that a problem?
It can be more challenging not to know what somebody's intent is, but it's not a problem per se. If somebody doesn't have a will and they pass away, we do have processes that were revamped in 2012 to try to make it a little bit easier for people to go through the probate process. For example, if somebody had very limited estate, less than $25,000 in value, and it did not include real estate, you could do a voluntary administration. So it makes it a lot easier of a process, and it's a process that doesn't involve going before the court or a judge, and it's a lot cheaper of a process as well.
So if they had $15,000 in a bank account and only their name was on it, and their son or daughter could do this and access the money.
Yeah, and so the first step when somebody passes is identifying what their probatable estate might be, what their assets might be. There are a number of assets that people can avoid the probate process by putting something jointly in their name and their spouse's name, so that they could have a right of survivorship when somebody passes. Homes are done that way, bank accounts can be done that way, and frequently people will go and look at a trust process and have a trust established with an attorney as well.
So then they don't have to go through the process at all.
Yeah, a lot of the work that gets done before somebody comes into probate on the probate side of our operation is to avoid probate.
Yeah.
So, and we try to, we can't give legal advice, but we do have an excellent Lawyer of the Day program, which involves about 130 to 150 local attorneys who volunteer their time for free to the Probate and Family Court. We have an office designated for them in both our Brockton office at 215 Main Street in Brockton and our office down on Oberry Street, 52 Oberry Street down in Plymouth. 5 days a week, we schedule these attorneys to come in the morning, starting at 8:30. You come down if you need assistance on a legal issue. You sign up. It's first come, first serve, and many of our attorneys are able to stay until 1 or 2 in the afternoon if needed. So they
So is there a wait a waiting line?
Well, there can be, so that's why I caution people, show up at 8:30 or earlier. The doors open at 8:30 at our office. Sign up. If you have a more complicated question, you might call us ahead of time and see if we can help you get other resources to answer it. Obviously, the attorneys only have probably about 20 minutes to 30 minutes with each client as they work with them. So some of the other subject matters that our attorneys in our office deal with, in addition to the probate matters, which also include the guardianships, dealing with change of names, and on our domestic side, the issues that we deal with most frequently have to do with the divorces, dealing with parenting time, paternity cases, child custody, alimony, and people who are going through the divorce process of either an agreed upon, what we call a 1A divorce, or a 1B divorce, where somebody would obtain a summons and issue that to their spouse.
I see.
Yeah.
So how big is your staff in Brockton and Plymouth?
We have an interesting setup. The Probate and Family Court as the two buildings were constructed in Brockton and Plymouth, the primary thought process was given towards District Court and Superior Court, right, which are larger operations. So because of that, we're very happy with the space we have, but we only have space for 8 employees up in Brockton, but we have 3 of our judges in Brockton. So we send our files on a daily basis back and forth between the Plymouth operation, where we have a large amount of storage, and most of our employees, a total of 30 employees between the two offices. Wow. And all day long, our employees are processing cases, helping people at the front counter, answering the phones, supporting probation department when necessary, and obviously whenever the judicial lobby needs us for assistance, we're there to help.
How is the registry funded?
Through the state.
Through the state.
So it's through the state trial court, and that's, as I spoke at the beginning, how we used to be by county. Yep. Over time, that was changed so that the management structure would be more linear, a top-down type of structure. So now you have a court administrator who works with our Chief Justice of the trial courts, and they work together in tandem as partners to ask for funding for all of the trial courts in one line item from the legislature every year.
I see.
And from there, they budget out to each of the different divisions of the trial courts, and then each of those separate divisions has their own Chief Justice and their own Deputy Court Administrator. We call them a DCA. And those folks work together with all of the managers, primarily either your clerk magistrates, registers, and the first justices of each of those divisions to talk about funding needs.
I see. So talk a little bit about the addiction problem.
Yes.
As some people may or may not know, when I was a selectman, Matt called me one night and said, you need to come down and go to this opioid seminar, and I knew nothing about it, and I came back, and with your help, we formed the Abington Substance Awareness Coalition. But how's that affected in the courts?
There are many different points of interception in people's lives where we can get involved. Obviously, the earliest points through DARE or other similar programs with young people in schools is the best time. Education is the best prevention to stop folks from getting involved with an opioid.
Yeah, and that's exactly our mission with Abington.
Absolutely.
Substance awareness.
And you've done an excellent job with it.
Thank you.
So once somebody comes to the trial courts, on our side, we're all civil cases, so we don't deal with criminal prosecutions in any way. But we do see a deep impact from the opioid crisis through our restraining order process and also through our guardianships. What we've seen is not a drastic spike in the number of guardianships, but the type of guardianships have shifted from guardianships of incapacitated people to guardianships of minors when mom and dad are basically incapacitated by an abuse of substance abuse disorder, and grandma, grandpa, aunts, and uncles are coming in to substitute for them and to take over being a parent, which is a very daunting task for a lot of family members to go through.
And you're seeing a lot of that.
I'm seeing a lot of it, yes.
Yeah. The other thing that I've noticed that you do on a yearly basis, well, you do it on a daily basis probably, but have a kind of a big party, is Adoption Day.
Yeah,
and that's always great to see that on the news.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So a lot of our subject matter is very, very tough, serious issues that families are going through. Adoption is our one bright spot of the year. Every November we have Adoption Day over in Brockton, and we work in coordination with DCF and the juvenile courts. This past year we had over 30 kids officially become parts of their new families. They're forever families, as they're
Were
called.
they in foster care with most of these families first?
Yes, most were, yes. And some might have been family situations,
I see,
you know, somebody
yeah.
taking over. But most came through a DCF process.
Nice.
And I'll tell you, to go through, we have all our judges volunteer their time. So there's a big ceremony. Bridgewater Raynham or Brockton comes in as a marching band. They have cakes and cupcakes and celebrations.
I've seen pictures. I've seen it on TV.
And every child gets one of their Build-A-Bear bears to commemorate the moment. And they do a great ceremony in each individual courtroom to commemorate the adoption, and usually culminates with the young child going up and actually getting to use the judge's gavel themselves.
Nice.
So it's really
Very
a bright
good.
spot in the year.
Well, that's great to know, and I think a lot of people don't understand what you do down there. And it's a lot of good work, and you have the free attorneys there. So if you need to reach out, we'll put the phone number on the bottom of the screen. Please reach out.
Excellent.
And Matt's direct line will also be there.
So there was one more program I wanted to
Sure,
promote.
absolutely.
So we have the Lawyer of the Day program, which is basically 5 days a week, but because of the rise in guardianships and their nature being going towards guardianships of minors with substance abuse issues, we found attorneys who specialize in guardianship who are now donating their time to review guardianship applications just themselves.
Very nice.
So that occurs on the first and third Wednesday of every month down in the Plymouth office in the Attorney of the Day office from about 1 till 3:30 in the afternoon.
Very nice.
So we just had a few of them come in this afternoon before I came in to meet with you.
So you had some pretty big shoes to fill with, I know Bob McCarthy.
Significant.
Great guy.
Yes.
But you've done a great job down
thank you.
there in the
Thank
last few years. So the next segment of the show I'm going to do on each one of my shows is called Which One?
Uh-oh.
And I'm going to say two things, and you're going to say which one.
Okay.
All right? And this is just to give the viewers a little more idea of some of your background or how you feel and things. And I'll be easy on you. I won't be
Okay,
too
all right.
tough.
Don't get me in trouble.
Okay. Winter, summer.
Summer.
Patriots or Red Sox?
Patriots.
Is that just because they won the Super Bowl or?
It could be. I mean, we're only 3 days out from the Super Bowl. I'm probably still coming down from that experience.
All right. Steak or seafood?
Oh, steak.
And you live in Marshfield on the water, though.
I know.
Okay, how's this? Ocean or lake?
Ocean.
Okay. Dog or cat?
We don't have either yet.
I know, but you're talking about getting one.
We'll get a dog before we get a cat.
All right, great. Thank you. So, another part of the program is announcing upcoming events in and around Abington. So we have a couple coming up in the near future. On February 13th, the Abington Substance Awareness Coalition that we were just talking about will hold our monthly meeting. And the meetings are held at the Abington Town Hall on the second Wednesday of each month at 7 o'clock. This month we have a featured speaker will be David Jensen. David played for the 1984 U.S. Olympic hockey team, then went on to the NHL, and David has been in recovery for 8 years.
Wow.
And he's a very good friend of mine, and he's agreed to come in. He's now working at a sober house in Milton, so he's come a long way. On February 22nd, the Jeff Coombs Foundation will be hosting their annual Caring Hearts Dinner Dance at Emerald Hall, and a portion of the proceeds will go to the Remillard family who recently lost their loving husband and father of 3 school-age kids, so it was tragic. Tickets available for that at jeffcoombsfund.org. And on March 24th, an event that's close to my own heart, the Hug Foundation will be hosting our 8th annual Bruins alumni hockey game at Rockland Rink. Tickets are available at hugfoundationma.org. They're also available at Rockland Rink. This year we'll feature former greats Ray Bork and Rick Middleton and many other Bruins alumni. So get your tickets. Tickets are only $15 for adults and $5 for kids 12 and older. 12 and under, I'm sorry. So, as I said earlier, if you have an idea for a show, please email me at alexbazanton@yahoo.com. And if you'd like to do your own show, this is your studio, and this is free for anyone that wants to learn how to operate cameras or direct programs. You can take a camera to your kid's Little League game, and we'll air it on Abington Cable. If you want to reach out to Abington Cable, you can reach out to Justin at abingtoncam.org. Remember, this is your studio, and we encourage you to use it. So that concludes the first episode of In and Around Abington. Thank you to my guest, Matt McDonough, and thank you all for watching.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.
Pleasure.